How's it going, everybody? I'm the BTC Reaper, and my goal on this channel is to teach you how to reap the rewards of trading, whether the price is going up or down. Over on the Dixie, we do have a possibility for a bit of a goofy head and shoulder. For this to be a shoulder, this round up here would be our head, and this would be our shoulder here for this little bit of a peak that we are starting to fall away from. If we solidify that with red candles after this, if we get like a weak green candle and then followed by some strong red candles, that could pull us back toward that 100 area, right around that previous dip that we did have before. So we could come back toward that level of support. If we're not able to hold that 100 level of support, then that's where we could start to slip into that golden pocket and possibly see lower price action. RSI is heading down, stochastics overall heading out. Money flow wants to break bearish. Our VWAP is struggling to maintain bullish momentum, heading toward that neutral, and it wants to break. If that VWAP breaks bearish, that money flow is likely going to start to fall under here, as our momentum is already heavy in that bearish territory. Over on total, we are zigzagging around. Kind of hard to make any kind of clean pattern. If you want, you can make some sort of a rising wedge. After that, those would be freak breakups, freak breakouts. Those in mind, that would be a rising wedge. That would be a bearish pattern. Remember, even though it says rising, just like a rising channel, it takes you down. RSI is coming out, momentum's starting to fall, stochastic wants to round away, and momentum still has bearish divergence, stochastic has bearish divergence. Our VWAP is heading back down, wants to break that neutral, money flow is coming down, so overall the total's not looking too good. If this is a ascending wedge that ends up breaking us down, then we could see that drag us even lower, and then our altcoins could have a bit of a sell-off period. Over on Bitcoin dominance, we could draw out the same head and shoulders as the Dixie, where this would be our shoulder, this round would be our head, and then this little spike would be our other shoulder, so we could come down and form a right shoulder still. We did give that possibility here when we kind of got that freak break, but you could consider that part of the neckline for this head. Stochastic is starting to push away, RSI is starting to trend out, money flow is starting to come down, momentum is breaking that bearish territory as our VWAP is in the bearish territory and holding. If that VWAP continues to hold in this bearish territory, then our dominance is likely going to start to slip here, especially with these manipulation X's and us not really gaining any bullish momentum right now. Over on Bitcoin futures, we do have a bit of a rising channel that we are still within. Our RSI is in a bearish trend as it is getting lower highs as price gets higher highs. Momentum's doing the same, stochastic's doing the same, so bearish divergence all the way around. We have a red dot on the RSI. The RSI wants to come down as the stochastic wants to make a bearish cross. That VWAP is about to break into that bearish territory and give some more bearish momentum. If that happens, this money flow cross into the bullish territory will be very short, very weak, and it'll fall into the bearish territory where we will continue a trend to the downside and see this rising channel break to the downside like they typically do. Over on Bitcoin itself, we are starting to round away from the top of this rising channel. We do have a bit of a rejection going on, so I would watch out for that. RSI is overall trending out. Momentum has bearish divergence, that's overall trending away. Stochastic has bearish divergence, our stochastic wants to round off. Our RSI is overall pushing down because of that stochastic weakening. Money flow is starting to push down. Our VWAP is in that bearish territory. If that VWAP continues to hold in this bearish territory and it starts to get lower highs, we could see the bears resume control and get pushed down. And this bit of a gain here that retraced these losses could be eaten up, and this would be just a sustained retracement where we could see a pretty decent move to the downside and then hold that without needing much more retracement back to the upside. Remember, no matter which way you go, you're going to have an opposite move if it's more volatile. Here we got big red candle, we got a little bit of a green candle went sideways, then got a strong green candle after that. Here, big green candle followed by big red candle. So you're always going to balance out. Obviously, you're going to have trends where you will break away from those balances and create new price channels, whether it be new highs or lower RSI's overall trending out, stochastic's overall pushing down, momentum wants to fall here. Our VWAP's in the bearish territory, rounding away from that neutral and favoring the bearish territory. If that continues, then it's very likely that we will see the money flow start to weaken here, as our momentum is in the bearish territory. We have a manipulation X here. We have a long upper shadow candle that wants to bring us down. So if we see a strong red candle after this candle becomes a bigger red candle, then it's very likely the bears will regain control and push us down. The bulls did try to gain control with this long lower shadow candle, but the bears ultimately won out on the candle after it, so we're going to have to see who wins this back and forth battle. I would pay attention more toward these lower time frames to kind of establish who's going to be the winner. Over on the 2-hour, RSI is overall trending away. Our stochastic wants to overall trend away. The VWAP is starting to head back down. It wants to break this neutral. The momentum is in the bearish territory, getting low lows. So it's maintaining this bearish momentum. VWAP wants to come back down, so that momentum may not get a snap back forward like that double green dot wants to show you. Our money flow is in the bullish territory though, so we do still have potential to move up. Don't get that confused. Remember, when the money flow is green, you typically have the bulls in control. However, on the 1 hour, our money flow is flickering into the red, struggling to go past that green. It keeps rejecting that neutral. We've gotten a couple of rejections recently. So if this money flow comes back down, makes continued lows, and that VWAP breaks this bullish trend and continues down as well, we could see the higher time frames start to weaken, and then price action is going to finally break out of this channel that we've been warning you of. Our momentum does want to round off with a red dot. VWAP's about to break bearish, money flow is bearish, so I would keep a close eye on the next few candles. If we come down toward this support, this could be where we may break it. Over on graph, we do have that double top, so I drew that out for you as well. If you notice, I drew a lot of patterns out for you guys, that way you didn't have to sit through me drawing and clicking and clomping my way through. Our momentum's overall got lower highs, making bearish divergence. Stochastic's got bearish divergence overall rounding away. Momentum has a double red dot and wants to fall. Our RSI is starting to fall. Our VWAP is breaking that neutral and wants to give strength to the bears. And our money flow is indecisive, so I would watch the lower time frames. But if that VWAP continues bearish, it's very likely the daily will start to weaken, much like everything else. We did come and fill about half of our gap, so we got a candle wick to fill that gap. It's not a full candle body. We do still have potential to come back down. Look, we did get a sharp move down. We got a sharp move back up. So we retraced that sharp move, kind of like we mentioned on Bitcoin. Now we may be set up to roll back over and not need a corrective move. And that could help with a sustained move to the downside. RSI's trending out, stochastic wants to trend away, momentum's got bearish divergence overall and wants to push away. Our VWAP wants to roll over, our momentum is in that bearish territory, so if the VWAP rolls over here, that momentum's going to break bearish, bringing our money flow down, and that money flow is clinging onto the bullish territory, so I would watch out for that. Over on the 2 hour, our stochastic is trying to run pretty rampant here. RSI wants to bounce, so this could set up some moves for the upside. Money flow is making a bounce, our VWAP wants to bounce, but the VWAP is starting to round back off. The VWAP is at a bit of a high spot, so if it is not able to make a bounce off the neutral, if it comes back down toward that neutral and makes a move, if it's not able to bounce, then the bears will ultimately gain control. We will see a break into the bearish territory. We could see some favorable action like here, and that would start to push us down to that support level where we could see this pattern break out. It would take us to right around that 9-cent zone, so keep that in mind. That is one of the lower channels we warned about. We did mention that you could probably hang up around this 10.5-cent zone first, but those would be our next areas of support if we break from this double top and break that 12-cent zone. Oops, we got the 1 hour. Over on the 1 hour, we are trying to roll away. Gotta zoom back in. We are trying to roll away. We're a little indecisive here. Stochastic is trying to round off and push down. Our RSI does want to rebound as that stochastic did get a sharp run up. But if it starts to decline here, that RSI is going to decline as well. Our VWAP wants to round away and our Stochastic has bearish divergence, our momentum has bearish divergence. Money flow is coming out. That VWAP is iffy, so I would pay close attention to the VWAP on the lower time frames. That's going to tell you where this pattern is going to kind of go. Over on the 4 hour, we do have a gap to the downside that we wicked down to fill. We did kind of snap up and make a slight gap between here. It's kind of hard to see. We might see on the lower time frames a little better. RSI is trying to head up as our stochastic's trying to rebound. Money flow is trying to push forward. Momentum's trying to push forward. VWAP is trying to push forward. So we are trying to make a little bit of a rebound. But I would keep a close eye on the lower time frame. If we have some gaps here, we could see a snap back, try to fill those gaps, and see a move down. On the 2 hour, we look okay. The candles are pretty even, but there is a very slight gap there, so I would just keep an eye on it. We didn't quite fill this gap yet. We do still have this gap back here and this gap back here around that 23, like 23.5 cent area. So we could still see a snap, get a rejection from this area, see a snap down, and fill those other lower gaps, which could create a bigger move to the downside for other gaps we have, so keep that in mind. Our stochastic is pushing forward though, money flow is bullish, VWAP's bullish, RSI is pushing forward, momentum wants to push forward, so we do look okay to see some sustained action, but just remember this is a pretty strong resistance area. If we look, when we built that gap, did not create any gaps to the upside, but we did create gaps to the downside. So if you look at the 1 hour, that 25 cent zone I kept mentioning, we have a bit more easy gap to see. We have a reversal arrow print in here, so that could bring us down. We did have a gap to the upside that we are filling, that we created when we started to come back down to fill this gap we just created. So if we don't get a strong green candle after this green candle and then push forward, it's very likely the 1 hour is going to roll over here. These higher EMAs will remain on top and our lower EMAs will continue to band down and get weaker, where the bears will have stronger control on us. Stochastic does want to push out. RSI is in the bullish territory. It's pretty flat here. Our VWAP is starting to come down. Momentum is starting to round away from that neutral, so I would keep an eye on that VWAP. If the VWAP breaks bearish here, then momentum's likely going to give back strength to the bears, at which point that money flow would be in danger of pushing back down. Over on XRP for the daily, we could have a descending triangle here as well. This descending triangle could break us past all these supports I've been warning of, and past that point of control to that 50-cent zone. Remember that 50-cent zone, I'm going to get rid of it. That's a real even psychological area of support, and we did trend near that 50-cent zone for quite some time if you remember. RSI is overall heading down, momentum's overall heading away, VWAP wants to roll over and break back to the bearish side, and our money flow is struggling. So if the VWAP breaks bearish and the momentum gives here, the money flow is likely going to snap back down, which would set us up to see this pattern play out. Over on the 4 hour, we have a manipulation X right here around the dip, so that could end up breaking us down. Stochastic wants to break with a bearish divergence. Momentum has a bit of a bearish divergence going on. VWAP wants to break into the bearish territory. Money flow is heading toward neutral and wants to break bearish. It was in a little bit of a bullish trend, but it wasn't very strong, so we didn't really go anywhere. We got a little bit of a spike, went sideways, and then we pretty much retraced some of those losses or gains back into losses. We got wick here. That almost made us retrace most of those gains that we got. So this is another one of those examples where you get a sharp move down, corrective move up, sharp move up, corrective move down. So we could be set up to retrace some of these gains, set up more losses, and build it for areas that we've been mentioning for quite some time. Over on the 2 hour, we have a manipulation X that wants to break us down, so I would keep an eye on that. Our momentum's overall pushing down into that bearish territory, and our VWAP is in the bearish territory with a bearish trend, so I would keep an eye on that. If it maintains some bearish momentum and favors the bearish side here, our other indicators are likely going to roll over, snap to the bearish side, and we will see this pattern play like I mentioned. RSI is coming down, stochastic's pretty beat down, so overall we're not looking the greatest. Over on the 1 hour, money flow is zigzagging around. We've seen slight favor to the bearish side. VWAP's in the bearish territory, favoring the bearish side. Momentum's on the bearish territory, stochastic's starting to round away, and the RSI wants to round away. So overall, everything is leaning a little bit more bearish than bullish right now, and we may see this pattern break us back down. Finally, for algo for the daily, we are starting to kind of trend away, even though we're trying to maintain this bullish momentum. So we're seeing a fade away, kind of like the rest of the market. RSI is trending away. Momentum has bearish divergence. Our money flow is struggling to maintain bullish momentum. VWAP is starting to give strength back to the bears as it wants to break this neutral and head back into that bearish territory. So overall, the daily looks a little sketchy here as well, much like everything else. Over on the 4 hour, we have that reversal arrow that did break us down. It pushed us down. We're trying to go flat from it, but we're really not getting much substantial pushes forward. This does want to show that gold should try to push us forward, but now we have a candle showing bears should try to push us back down. So we have a little bit of indecision here. Stochastic is overall pushing down. Momentum's overall rounding away. VWAP is carrying bearish momentum, favoring the bearish territory currently, and the money flow is clinging to the bullish side. If we're not able to break here with some strong green candles, and we start to get more red candles in this area where we're at, it's very likely we will see this money flow round over and break to the bearish side, setting us up for further losses. Over on the 2 hour, we have a manipulation X that really didn't bring us too far down. RSI is trending away. Stochastic has bearish divergence. Momentum has bearish divergence. VWAP is struggling to maintain bullish momentum after crossing, and it wants to round. And our money flow is in the bullish territory, but starting to round, so I would keep a close eye on things. Again, if we meet resistance here and we round over, it's very likely the bears will regain control. Finally, for the 1 hour, zoom out here, we are seeing a bit of a round off. We are meeting some resistance. Our EMAs are starting to round, starting to push down, so I would keep a close eye on that. Stochastic does want to push forward, but it's starting to round off.